Hi, this is Roger. Thanks for dropping by and welcome to part 3 of the 2022 Project Orchids, where we take an initial look at 3 orchids out of the collection, all different and for different reasons. We sort of benchmark them, have a close look at what they look like now, and then project my thoughts and my ambitions for those 3 plants throughout this coming growing season, and we'll revisit them at regular intervals to see how they're doing against what I expected them to do. So without further ado, let's get going. Okay, so plant number 1, the one with the awkward name, the Mexicoa ghiesbreghtiana. But I'll do pop-ups with the names in case I mispronounce them or say them wrong. Then you can read them for your flipping self. Right, now this is within the Oncidium Alliance. It's an Oncidium type, and I haven't had it too long, and it's yet to bloom. It's highly likely it's going to bloom off what would be the latest growths. Now the 2 latest growths on here have been on this plant too long to expect them to bloom now. So what we need are more new growths. And it needs some help, basically, because most of the roots have come out this side, which is where a couple of the new growths were. So that's to be expected. And as a consequence, they're aerial. And they're not hydrating well enough by pouring water over them like how I water my mounts normally. So this plant initially needs some help, and the help it's going to get is live moss, basically over a larger portion of the mount, including over some of these aerial roots. Roots heading on round the back of the mount, they'll have to fend for themselves, but so I intend to put some more live moss around this plant to help hydrate it, because the moss will stay wet longer than aerial roots would, and therefore the plant will get better hydrated. It's not desiccated, but basically the latest growths on this didn't get as big as I expected them to, which is, I would suspect, lack of hydration. It's not going to be lack of food. This isn't going to be a high feeder. So the plan for this is to get some moss on there, live moss, I don't use the sphagnum moss anymore, and help hydrate it better, get some new growths going, and hopefully some blooms on those new growths. Now whether the spikes come out part way through maturity or the growths have to fully mature before the spikes come out, I don't know. But what I do know is the blooms are unusual and well worth waiting for. So that's the plan for this one. Moss, get some new growths, and hopefully get some blooms. Okay, plant number 2, the Latoria type. Aussies Sweetness crossed with tepiniense. So effectively a hybrid crossed back with a species. It's yet to bloom for me. It is a much mature plant. It should bloom. This is the latest new growth over here. This growth here, the discoloration in there is due to scale, which has been treated, as is that one. They love getting in there on the Latoria types, but they've been treated. Hopefully it's sorted itself out now. So the latest growth that I've grown is bigger than anything else, so that's always good. Nice big swollen cane and nice set of 3 leaves. This one seems to either have 2 or 3 leaves per cane. What I'd expect from this, apart from hopefully getting some blooms during this season, is at least 1 more new growth. Let's have a look and see if we have any signs of any new growths yet. Not that I can see. We've got a large root system. It's an old tired root system, but it works, and recently it's come back into life, so there's some growing tips. So it's got some active roots, and I suspect we will get a new growth in the near future, and it will come from this region here, because these are the 3 latest growths here. These are the older, smaller canes, so this has been grown on from a young plant. I would say it's now plenty big enough to bloom, but it might not be, because if that's the size of a mature bulb for this plant, then that's the only mature bulb it's got. But I suspect that both of these are blooming size. Whether they will bloom or not, we'll have to wait and see. But it's a nice plant. I got this before Brexit, came across from the Netherlands, and yeah, I think it should progress reasonably well, but we'll have to wait and see. So blooms and new growths and a more extensive root system, even though the roots are not bad. So that's what I would hope for this one. Well, that's the first time I've done that. Putting the video together, and I got to the third plant, and looking at its name, I thought, well, that's bloomed, I'll go and get the picture of the blooms. And then I realised I'd filmed the wrong plant. No, I haven't done that before. It's lack of coffee, that's what comes with filming too early in the morning. This is the right plant, and this is Oncidium chrysomorphum. We are about to get a mass blooming on it. Strange plant this. This was a present from Zana, and it arrived with no roots. And it put up some growths and grew some roots in that order. And now it's doing it again, because most of the root system on the existing plant has gone over. They're beyond a little tired. They look like they've gone over. But as a consequence of the new growth that's coming, it's pushing out a new root system. It seems as though it drops most of its roots each year, which is unusual, but as long as it survives, that's all I'm interested in. And basically the older growths have got their leaves, and what we've got now is a spike coming out of this older growth and 2 spikes coming out of this one, so we've got 3 spikes in total, so we will get blooms. Now I don't know how long they last, but they're going to be open relatively soon because they are tiny, so you know, these are getting close to opening. And the chances are they will have gone over before update 1. But what I propose with the Project Orchids this time round is, if there is an event between 2 of the updates, or the initial look and the first update, I will include that clip. Yeah, so we won't miss these blooms if they go over before the first update, which is likely. So what we've got then is a poor root system, but it exists. And then what I'm expecting is the new growth there, oh yeah, I can just see them, to start a new root system, which is what it seems to do. There's not much else I can expect from that. I'd expect this growth to push on and mature. I'm surprised there is only 1. I would have expected 2, but there's still time for another one to start. I don't think it will though. I think we're just going to get the 1 new growth. So this needs to mature with a nice fat bulb, and in addition to that I'd expect a nice blooming. They're nice branching spikes. There's a lot of blooms, but they are tiny. And then strangely enough, this happened last time round as well. When the new roots come, the slightly desiccated bulbs plump up, even though they're old. So it's a strange plant. It behaves a little differently to a lot of the other Oncidiums I've got. So there we go then. Eventually the right plant number 3. So that's the lot for group 3, and that's also the last in the initial look videos. So right. So there we go, that's part 3 done and dusted, and those can all be put away now until the next update, which will be update 1. Where are we now? March, April, May. It'll either be in May or in June. I haven't made up my mind whether we're going to do 2-month or 3-month intervals. I will make my mind up later in the year. But all these video clips from parts 1, 2 and 3, that's 9 orchids, will be put to one side, brought out again next time, so that we can review what was said now in March, and then we'll video the plants as they are in update 1 and compare how they're doing with what I expected them to do. And that's the way the Project Orchids will move forward through the year. We'll revisit the previous video and film them as they are during update 1, and then update 2, and possibly even update 3 till we get to the end of the growing season. Hope you're enjoying the series in this new format, and Thanks for dropping by. Don't forget to like and subscribe, all that stuff. See you next time. Whoops, that's what comes of filming first thing in the morning with insufficient coffee. I always end up forgetting something. Just a reminder that at the very end of the video there will be 2 extra videos to watch should you choose to do so, which will be group 1 and group 2. So if you've missed them, you get the opportunity now coming up on the end of the video. Just either click or tap and it'll take you to that video, and then you can drop back to this one to end. Thank you, see you next time.